Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. You are probably familiar with the story of Ishmael, Abraham's first son, considered the ancestor of the Ishmaelite Arabs. But there is one aspect of this story that is rarely discussed, a dark mystery that looms over his descendants. Today, we will explore a seldom addressed theme, the curse of the Ishmaelite Arabs. Yes, you heard that right. There is a curse tied to Ishmael, a burden placed not just upon him, but upon all the people who would descend from him, a sentence hidden in ancient texts, a fate that was sealed millennia ago. But after all, what curse is this? What was decreed over Ishmael and his descendants? In this video, we will dive into this ancient enigma and try to unravel the hidden truths behind this forgotten prophecy. So, before we begin, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others, because this is a story everyone needs to know. The curse of Ishmael and the Ishmaelite Arabs. Ishmael was Abraham's firstborn, but he was not born of his wife Sarah, but rather of an Egyptian concubine named Hagar. As the eldest son by paternal lineage, Ishmael had several brothers, including Isaac, Sarah's legitimate son, and the descendants of Keturah, another wife of Abraham. Among Keturah's children were Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah, all half-brothers of Ishmael by his father. The name Ishmael has an ancient and significant origin. With Semitic roots, it is widely associated with Hebrew and Aramaic traditions. Its etymology comes from the combination of two Hebrew and Aramaic terms, Yishma, meaning to hear or to listen, and El, referring to God or a deity. Thus, the name Ishmael can be interpreted as the one who listens to God, God hears, or God listens. In addition to his historical and religious importance, Ishmael is recognized as a central figure in Islamic tradition, regarded as the ancestor of the Arab peoples. His story is fundamental both in Judaism and Islam, reflecting his significance in both biblical and Quranic narratives. Ishmael was expelled from his father Abraham's household by God's own command, along with his mother Hagar. Exiled to the desert, he grew up to be a skilled archer and became a prosperous and influential man. Over the years, Ishmael married an Egyptian woman chosen by his mother, and they had a large offspring consisting of many sons and daughters. Hagar, his mother, also remarried and gave rise to a new lineage through her other children, Ishmael's maternal half-siblings. From this lineage came the people known as the Hagarites, or Hagarenes, who became an important community in the ancient world. Ishmael's journey not only marked the history of his family, but also profoundly influenced Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, being recognized as one of the ancestors of the Arab peoples. The book of Genesis, in chapter 25, presents the record of Ishmael's descendants, the son of Abraham and Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian maidservant. According to verses 12 to 18, Ishmael's sons are listed in order of birth: Nebaioth, the firstborn, followed by Kedar, Abdil, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. In addition to these 12 sons, Ishmael also had a daughter named Mahalath. The 12 sons of Ishmael became leaders of their own tribes, establishing villages and camps that came to be known by their names. Ishmael lived to the age of 137, and after his death, he was gathered to his ancestors. His descendants settled in the region stretching from Havilah to Shur, near the border of Egypt, on the way to Assur, that is, toward Assyria. According to the biblical account, the Ishmaelites lived in constant conflict with their relatives. Still in Genesis 25, the narrative mentions the death of Abraham, who passed away at an old age after a full and prosperous life. His sons, Ishmael and Isaac, came together to bury him in the cave of Machpelah, located in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite. This location became an important historical and religious reference point, as Abraham was buried there next to his wife Sarah. Ishmael is often a marginalized character in the sacred scriptures. Many mistakenly believe that he had no faith in God or that he did not follow his precepts. However, this interpretation stems from the distorted view that has been created around his story. In reality, Ishmael believed in the God of his father, Abraham. A clear evidence of this is the fact that he was circumcised according to God's command, thus fulfilling one of the established commandments. Moreover, until he was 14 or 15 years old, Abraham instructed him in the ways of the Lord, passing on teachings about faith and obedience to God. The greatest proof that Ishmael maintained his belief in the God of his father occurred at the most desperate moment of his life. When he was on the brink of death in the desert, he cried out to the Lord, and God, in immediate response, sent an angel to help both him and his mother. This episode shows that Ishmael was not distant from God, but rather continued to trust in him, seeking his help in difficult times. Additionally, it is important to clarify that Ishmael was not expelled from Abraham's house due to an arbitrary rejection by God. What happened was a family conflict, in which Ishmael, already a teenager, became jealous of Isaac, Abraham, and Sarah's younger son. This disagreement led to his departure, but God never abandoned him. On the contrary, he took care of Ishmael, guiding his path and allowing him to prosper. Over time, Ishmael became a powerful man and a great leader, fulfilling God's plans for his life. Ishmael's faith in God is also evident in the names of his children, which may be surprising, as it clearly shows he followed the same God as his father, Abraham. A curious detail is the name of his first son, which has a rather peculiar and interesting meaning. Ishmael's first son was Nebaioth, who, in turn, gave rise to the Ishmaelite tribe known as the Nabateans. The name Nebaioth has an ancient meaning tied to a prophecy. It can be interpreted as the one of the prophecy, or he who is of the prophecy. But what prophecy is this? The prophecy in question is the one the angel announced to Ishmael's mother, revealing that he would be the father of 12 princes. Now, you might be wondering, what is the curse associated with Ishmael and the Ishmaelite Arabs? The answer to this question can be found in the book of Genesis, chapter 16, where the Bible describes the origin and destiny of Ishmael's descendants. This chapter provides a deeper insight into what followed after Ishmael's birth and the spiritual and historical implications that marked his legacy. Let's read this passage now to better understand. Genesis chapter 16. Abram's wife Sarai had not borne him children, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. Then Sarai said to Abram, "Behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my servant. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." So after Abram had lived in the land of Canaan for 10 years, Sarai took Hagar, the Egyptian, and gave her to Abram as his wife. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me." But Abram said to Sarai, "Behold, your servant is in your power. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "I will surely multiply your offspring so that they cannot be numbered for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are pregnant and shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has listened to your affliction. He shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen." To God, who spoke to her, Hagar gave this name: "You are El Roi, the God who sees me." For God had spoken with her, and she questioned herself, "Have I truly seen the one who sees me?" That is why this well, located between Kadesh and Bered, was called Bir Lahai Roi, the well of the living one who sees me. As we have just heard, the curse of the Ishmaelites, or rather the Arab Ishmaelites, refers to the constant hostility towards their relatives, especially the Israelites. Looking at history, we see that the Arab Ishmaelites were in conflict with various Semitic peoples, such as the Assyrians, among others, essentially with their own genetic relatives. This pattern of hostility continues to this day, especially in the Middle East, where the conflicts between Jews and Arabs remain intense, reflecting this ancient curse. The curse, according to the scriptures, describes the Ishmaelites as a wild donkey in the desert, symbolizing a people in constant struggle, warriors, and living in tension with everyone around them. It is not just a dispute with the Israelites, but with any group sharing Semitic ancestry. Today, this rivalry continues, being evident in the ongoing conflict between Israel and the Arab nations, especially in Palestine. Although the Palestinians are not direct descendants of Ishmael, many have this ancestry, further highlighting the historical bond and continuity of the confrontation, reflecting the curse mentioned in the scriptures. The 12 tribes of Ishmael multiplied quickly and spread throughout the Middle East. Many people today, especially Palestinians and Jordanians, are descendants of Ishmael, as well as some who live in northern Saudi Arabia. The Ishmaelites expanded considerably over the centuries. However, it is important to remember that not all Arabs are direct descendants of Ishmael. For example, many Arabs in southern Arabia have ancestry from Canaan, Joktan, ancient Sabaeans, and other Semitic peoples, who are also considered Arabs. Additionally, other peoples from Abraham's lineage, such as the Edomites and Midianites, are not Ishmaelites but can also be considered Arabs, especially the Midianites. These groups, though not directly related to Ishmael, are part of the historical and cultural context of the Middle East. If you are familiar with this story of the curse, which, according to tradition, leads the Arab Ishmaelites into conflict with the Jews and other peoples, feel free to leave your comment below. Thank you for watching the video until the end, and don't forget to suggest topics for new videos in the comments. May God bless you all, and see you soon.